Assalamualaikum and hi, greetings to my beloved lecturer. My name is Sofia Shahira binti Shukur. I will be the first presenter to do this presentation. The topic that will be presented is about unemployment and inflation problem in China. First of all, let me introduce you to my fellow team members who take part to accomplish this task. The first one is Shazni Najiha binti Jamal, Farin Ilani Ilmu binti Ishaq, Amelia Shohada binti Amran, Nurin Sarah Izati binti Shaifuddin, and Sofia Shahira binti Shukur, which is me. And the last one is Nurul Alia binti Hashim. We prepared this presentation for our beloved lecturer, Madam Khaizie Sazimah binti Ahmad. In this presentation, we will discuss the introduction that consists of population, labor force, and export processor in China. Next, we will take a look at inflation and unemployment problems in China. Third, we will point out how China managed problem solving for inflation and unemployment. The last one is a conclusion to sum up all of our topics. First, I'm going to present the introduction. I will share with you the population of China. Overpopulation, which means the condition of being populated with excessively large numbers. Overpopulation is one of the most serious issues that today's world is facing. China is known as the country with the highest population. The population increased at an average annual growth rate of 0.50%, slightly less than in the decade between 2000 and 2010 with 0.57% annual growth on average. Based on the latest United Nations data, population of China is currently at 1,444, 431, 998 as of Tuesday, 1 June 2021. By population and dependent territories, China is the first in the list and being followed by the India, United States, and Indonesia. The next section will be the labor force in China. China's labor force is one of the most important factors that contribute in economic growth. Complete production chain and well-educated labor force make China one of the most attractive in the world because of their leading position in terms of talent in the technology industry. China labor force participation rate dropped to 66.8% in December 2020, compared with 68.2% in the previous year. China labor force participation rate is updated yearly, available from December 1990 to December 2020, with an average rate of 73.6%. With ongoing transformation of the Chinese economy towards a more service-oriented industry, employment in the service sector underwent to considerable expansion over the past year and accounted for more than 47% of the labor force in China. Migrant workers reached 286 million, make lead to better paid job in city. In this section, I will talk about China export processor. China's export processor holding into full gear and assisting in the repair of the coronavirus fractured global supply chain. Despite intermittent trade and hostile moves, most notably by the US and Australia, the country export has proven to be a tower of strength in 2020. Export gained 3.6% to 2.59 trillion. Imports were up 6.5% to 203.75 billion in December, and the full year figure is down 1.1% to 2.06 trillion. China became the only economy in the world to achieve positive commodity trade growth in 2020. That's all from me. Thank you. I will pass to the next presenter.
Hi, my name is Farin Ilani Ilmu. I'm going to continue this presentation. Now, I will present about China export growth. China export growth has been a major component supporting China's rapid economic expansion. In 2020, China exported 7.23%, that is about 187 billion automatic data processing machine and unit, example magnetic or optical reader machine for processing such as data. Even China economy is ranked 2 in the world after US. China has been the world's biggest exporter of goods since 2009. In 2020, China imports 17%, which are 351 billion electronic integrated circuit and microassembly. Next is gross domestic product, for short is GDP. GDP shows the monetary value of all finished goods and services made within a country during a specific period. The existence of GDP to measure at current price or constant price, because sometimes China data GDP change over time. There are three main sectors that contribute to GDP, which is agriculture, industry, and service. For China GDP, economy sets record at 18.3% in first quarter compared to a year earlier but slow versus fourth quarter. It shows a positive at data GDP because it grows according to year distribution. Technically, GDP only focuses on final goods and services sold for money are included, but usually calculate on the quarterly basis. Now we move to second content, which is about inflation and unemployment problem in China. It divided to three. First, general type of inflation and unemployment. Two, causes of inflation and unemployment. The last one is effect of inflation and unemployment. First, we got general type of inflation and unemployment. Inflation can be defined as a continuous increase in the general price level of goods and services in the economy. Since inflation refers to a continuous increase in general price level, does not mean the price of every product and service need to increase. Inflation is a situation where there is too much money chasing too few goods. For example, if the inflation rate is 4%, it doesn't mean that all prices are increasing by 4%. It's only the average increase. For unemployment, it's defined as labor force participant being available and willing to work, but unable to find job. Therefore, the unemployment rate is percentage of the labor force that is employment and is actively seeking employment. That's all from me. Now, I'm going to pass baton to the next presenter that will continue this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Farin. My name is Nurin Sarah, and I will continue on explaining about the type of inflation and also the type of unemployment in China. So, inflation is sometimes classified into three types, which are demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, and also built-in inflation. Well, most commonly used inflation indexes are the Consumer Price Index (CPI) and the Wholesale Price Index (WPI). For instance, China has two types of inflation, that is commodity inflation and also real estate inflation. These types of inflation are dependent to one another. China's inflation fears are on the rise due to increasing commodity price. As a result, producer price rise while the consumer price remain under control. For example, Chinese government include commodities such as utilities and healthcare services. They also include food grains, metal, and fuel. This has resulted in rising commodity prices feed into the rising real estate prices. As investors rush to buy real estate that are expected to keep or even exceed the rate of inflation. Okay, now what is unemployment? Well, it is defined as a labor force participant that is available and willing to work but unable to find job. There are four types of unemployment among them, which is first, frictional unemployment occurs when people entering or re-enter the labor force. For example, once I graduated and is searching for my first time job as a tour guide maybe, this is a part of frictional unemployment. Number two, cyclical unemployment is when there is a lack of job resulting in recession. For example, due to COVID-19, automobile workers is laid off during recession because people buy fewer vehicles, so manufacturers doesn't need as many workers. And then we have structural unemployment. This happens when workers loses job because the job is no longer a part of economic structure. And the last one, which is number 4, seasonal unemployment. It is arising due to seasonal variation in the activity of particular industry. For example, hotel and resort unemployment is likely to be lower during school holiday because parents will bring their kids and children on vacation. Now, China is having structural unemployment due to the current pandemic, where workers lose their job because of inadequate supply of raw materials and isolated location. That happened because demand of domestic competent professionals is very urgent in some brand new industries, and job openings are usually occupied by imported qualified talents from abroad. Besides, the effect of individual is that they are unable to earn money to resolve their financial problem. In China, the government has to pay the people who are struggling with financial due to unemployment some benefits because of the effects and also the problems occurs. Let me take an example from Beijing. Beijing has set a target of creating over 11 million new urban jobs in 2021 just to make citizens in the city available to participate in labor force. That's all from me. I will pass it to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hi, I am the next presenter. My name is Emilia Suada binti Muhammad Amran. So I will going to present about the causes of inflation and unemployment, also with the effect of inflation and unemployment in China. So first, there are several causes that lead to inflation and unemployment in China. I will start with the causes of inflation. As been explained earlier, inflation is the decline of purchase power of given currency over time. So in China, the causes are the rising food price that lead to inflation. According to the National Bureau Statistics of China, inflation was mainly fueled by a surge in food sector prices in recent months. So the price gain in other non-food sector was relatively slight. Transportation and communication prices even decreased compared to the year before. Secondly, the causes of inflation is due to the coronavirus outbreak, as the inflation in China has hit its highest level as it drove up the demand for consumer goods and shuttered business activity in part of the country. So China's consumer price index from 5.4% in January has rose up to 4.5% in December. So the jump in prices comes as economic activity has been curtailed, which led to some factors being temporarily closed and travel restriction within the country. So the rise in consumer prices continues, a recent acceleration for inflation in China. Now is the causes of unemployment. So the causes of unemployment may be raised because of the grudging consumer base. So the number of unemployed people getting assistance did not rise. The current unemployment hike from around 6% to about 20% would be changed with migrant labor. So there were millions who worked without contract, without pay, or worked for not enough time to collect, leaving them uninsured. Last but not least, the causes of unemployment is that there are inefficiency public job creation in China, so it costs to leave unemployed workers. Some people may be concerned about the government budgetary space, but China is not financially restricted in the way that all these nations put up trillion-dollar fiscal stimulus program. So inflation might be worrying for some, but recruiting some employees to enhance supplies would have moderate inflationary pressure to sustain demand for spending. Next, I will move on to the effect of inflation and unemployment. So first, the effect of inflation in China. The economy in China suffered major side effect, which is fast overheating due to inflation. So the extra liquidity is increasing in prices and wages, while property values have climbed. So higher wage demands are likely to become more persistent as China's inflation problem started to look like it has got out of hand. Then it captures the rising of good and service in an economy and as a result shows the decreasing purchasing powers of consumer. Thus, inflation also reflects an undermining in purchasing power of money, a loss of a real value in the internal medium of exchange and unit of account in the economy. Groups such as household and people who depend on social benefit will also lose to a great deal when inflation rates are high. So they will have a less purchasing power than before and they will start to demand for a higher wages. Next, if the effect of inflation is that it causes an increase in interest rate and will have a negative effect on investment and output. So higher inflation means the businesses in China will have to change their price and it may also affect the foreign trade and also the exchange rate. So next is the effect of unemployment in China. So the effect of unemployment is that it can affect a person psychologically. So depression in China has risen from the 15th place to the 10th place in 2017. So besides, there is an increased anxiety and stress level which lead to psychosomatic diseases, personal worthlessness and also powerlessness. In a study on influence of the social environment on psychologically conducted by Dr. M. Brenner, it was found that every 10% increase in the number of unemployment on average caused an increase of 1.2% in total mortality and the remaining percentage lead to diseases, suicide and more assaults. So furthermore, it has shown that long period of unemployment can also reduce the life expectancy of workers for about 7 years. Depression has gradually become major public health issues in China and is one of the effects that is due to being unemployment. So that is all from me. I will pass it to the next presenter.
Thank you, Emilia. Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Shazmi Najiha and I will continue presenting the problem solving using monetary policy and fiscal policy and also China fiscal policy. So, the government play an important role in the realization of the economic growth. Each government usually manage the economy by implement three kind of policy, which is growth policy, monetary policy and also fiscal policy. In the past few years, the Chinese government have been pursuing an active fiscal policy to finance key construction projects by issuing government debt. Meanwhile, some monetary policy have been implemented in coordination with the fiscal policy. With the coordination of the two policies, the trend of deflation have been contained, economic restructuring accelerated with the economic growth further promoted. Chinese government resolved the problem by continuing to boost domestic demand through proactive fiscal policy and sound monetary policy and further speed up economic restructuring and improve the quality and efficiency of economic growth. Next is China fiscal policy. In the year of 2021, China fiscal policy remained proactive but more sustainable by focusing on promoting the efficiency and quality boost domestic demand. China supported the slowing economic growth by implementing the expansionary fiscal policy. But due to the COVID-19, the implication posed a significant challenge to fiscal stance. For instance, the China government invests mainly in infrastructure to support growth but face sustainable restriction when it comes to borrowing, at least through the budget. Next, as stated at the end of December 2019 by Liu Kun, the Minister of Finance, China have been applying an expansionary fiscal policy in 2020. However, the room for such active policy bounded because it likely to be constrained by the continuously deceleration growth of fiscal revenue. In spite of the limited room for action, the government would likely spend more on main projects as a counter-cyclical measure. There are 4 specific areas. The first one is poverty alleviation project. Next is telecommunication project remain a priority since the technology can spur the growth of the digital economy. Third, it receive more fiscal resources high-tech industry, and lastly is regional integration have been set up as national development goal. The Chinese government has set up mechanisms to channel funds directly from the central government to fracture the country governments. Moreover, the government also implement extra budgetary revenue that includes the non-tax revenue collected by local government, government agency and institution, and state-owned enterprise or called SOEs. The last point is the People's Bank of China will cut the reserve requirement ratio (RRR) for financial institution. That's all for me, and I will pass it to the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, let me introduce myself first. My name is Nurul Alabitasim, and now I will explain about China monetary policy. It is start when the government are pulling back support for the economy more quickly because China speedily recovered from Corona. Compared before this crisis, which is financial crisis back in 2008, and this is more help boost growth worldwide. In 2020, China focused on tackling a problem at home will not provide the same kind of global support, but in 2008, the global economic crisis hit China, causing a response of China monetary policy shift to comprehensive easing. Besides, the central bank put through currency insurance, lowering the deposit reserve ratio, increase loans, and multiplies cut of interest rate. In 2016, China implemented moderately free monetary policy to stabilize the economic situation. Then, judging from future economy expectation, China must first adjust monetary policy to avoid future economic problem. So, in conclusion, this video has discussed three key areas of inflation and unemployment issue in China. Generally, each country has their own issue regarding inflation and unemployment. For overall development of economy, government and individual has to take initiative step in increase the productivity and improving the standard of living. Lastly, we can simple conclude that unemployment and inflation are related, and this relationship is explored by Philippine curve, which must be considered as one of major victory in terms of macroeconomy. So that's all for us, and behalf of my team, I want to say sorry if we are the mistake, and behalf of my team too, I want to say thank you for watching us.